Johnny Ace?
A less talented version of Triple H. Knows who to buddy up with, who to talk to, how to talk. Also had a glorious mullet when he was a dynamic dude. I personally never had any issues with Johnny. I always got along with him fine. Our interactions were fine, but you could also tell that this guy's full of shit. Like, how am I, like, for example, there was a situation where this is when I was coming back from my nose injury. I used to ride with Rene Dupree. He's a good buddy of mine, still to this day, because we do the podcast together. But one of my best friends. I showed up. Funny enough, I think this was also in Corpus Christi on a different day, but I knew him and Bob Holly were riding together. And anyways, I showed up at the locker room and they were just at each other's throats. And Bob was just yelling at him. I was like, oh man, what the hell? I got you guys. I didn't know you had heat. I thought you were riding together. And he's like, yeah, I got this parking ticket on Bob's rental, but I didn't tell him immediately. I forgot. And then it blew up and became this big deal. Anyways, they had massive heat to the point where like Renee was like offering to pay off the ticket and like, I'll do whatever I can. But like Bob had already gotten like a court date or something from like Oregon because he missed it blew up.
Right.
So there was a lot of heat there and Bob was really angry at the time. So he was threatening him and all this stuff. So Renee literally felt in danger, not just in the ring, but like outside the ring. So he called the office and felt like he could talk to the office about it in a trusting sense. And Johnny Ace posed as like, I'm glad you came to us. I won't let anything happen to you. I don't want the workplace to seem dangerous. I certainly don't want you to feel endangered. Like just baby-faced him. And literally had to have hung up the phone and called Bob like immediately and told him everything because we were in the middle of a house show loop. And it was, I want to say Renee and Kenzo, because that's who Kidman and I dropped the tag belts to Kenzo and Renee. Right. They ended up in a feud, oddly enough, with Charlie Haas and Bob Holly. Well, in the middle of this house show loop, literally the night, like we had a flight in between the loop and it was in baggage claim that morning when Renee had spoken to the office, the people that he supposedly is supposed to be able to trust and like share concerns with. Like you would think like a traditional kind of, who knows, right? All HR offices are screwed in their own way, I guess. But Johnny reassured him, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll make sure you're fine. Everything's fine. Well, that night, all of a sudden in Syracuse, New York, guess what? The tag belts are going to be defended in a hardcore match. Like they hadn't had a hardcore match since like Raven had been there, maybe four years prior or something. There were no hardcore matches until tonight at a house show.
It wasn't on TV. It wasn't a blow off.
Nothing.
Wasn't a pay-per-view.
No, just a tag title match at the house show, and it's going to be hardcore. Trash cans, chairs, whatever and Bob beat the shit out of him. Like literally just beat the crap out of him. And Renee, is he third generation? I know he's definitely second generation, but just having come up in the business, just not a fighter, right? Not fighting back. I mean, he's trying to protect himself, but also is trying to really just keep the story of the match and all this stuff. Anyways, he comes back and comes through the curtain after just getting pummeled with trash can lids to the face and just everything you could imagine. Like every way of using the hardcore weapons in like the most violent way, he had that done to him. He comes back through the curtain, takes a breather, just kind of like, oh my God, thank God that's over with. Mind you, he has this massive gash on his head. Like he looks like a deer had its antler cut off. And takes a breather. Bob comes right back through the curtain. Bam, stays on him. Just starts beating the crap out of him. And we're just in shock, like, what the, oh my God. And then I remember Van Damme got up and tore him off. And he's like, that's enough, like, get off him. Well, Renee and I were riding buddies at the time. So I ended up being the one taking him to Syracuse University Hospital. And we still had like a 4 or 5 hour drive to the next town. But we didn't get out of that Syracuse hospital till close to 4 in the morning, once they finally got around to working on him. And total setup job, man. Total setup. And that's Johnny Ace, like he was the one that made the cards, the house show cards back then. And the fact that Renee had literally just voiced this concern to him that morning, only to be set up later in the day. It was just, that was another one of those things. It was just like, who am I in bed with? Like, what is this place? This is bullshit. This is bullshit. And funny enough, I mean, Bob and I always got along, but he came up to me the next day at the show, and he was like, hey, I didn't know you were riding with Renee. I'm sorry. And I thought, like,
he apologized to you?
Yeah, I was like, you're apologizing to the wrong guy here, man. Like, you might want to apologize to the dude with the antler cut off. Because not funny, but disturbingly enough, at the end of that loop, they did a really shitty job stitching up his gash. We flew back from wherever we were. We connected in Cincinnati, and then I flew off to Texas, and he was going to go to Louisville. On the flight to Cincinnati, it was one of those like 1-seater, 2-seater, a really small plane, and he's complaining of a headache, so he gets up to use the restroom. Well, we're now in descending to the airport, and he's not back yet. And the stewardess is like, can you go check on your friend? We're in our descent now, and he's been in the bathroom a long time. And I went back there. And so you have those small planes, it's like 1-seater, 2-seaters. Well, bathrooms are equally as small, right? They're like even smaller than a normal airplane bathroom. I pushed it open. There was blood dripping from the ceiling. There was blood all over the mirror. There was blood on the walls. It had created pressure, and that, I guess it was a hematoma or something. It burst. And he had to get stretchered off the plane. Literally, and they were like, you could have died, just ridiculous, right? So all in all, like, that's Johnny Ace, just a snake in the grass. Didn't do anything to me directly, but like, you observe these things and you see these things, and you can tell how people are talking with you. Like, you develop that sense of like, this person's full of shit. And that's what it was. So there will always be a Johnny Ace type, in some locker room somewhere. There's just the allure of power is too much, that it's like Gollum, right? With the ring, like, it's going to change somebody. Like this kind of phony pseudo rock and roll lifestyle that people like to use as an excuse to do stupid shit. That allure of like, oh, I'm like this false sense of celebrity or whatever it is. You'll either stay who you are when you first got in, or it's going to change you in one way or another, and money and power, and however people look at it. I mean, it's such a stupid word, power. Like, to think like this is pro wrestling, when it comes to like, just wherever your standing is in the company, or how much money you're getting paid, or how much you're being used, or like who's making what on the merch money, or however, all that, like, ultimately it's money, right? That has a way of really changing people. I know you've seen it probably countless times with, guys that went here or there and maybe weren't the same. I mean, I've seen it. It's just one of those things, as my dad likes to say, money is a wonderful servant and a horrible master. and that's something he taught me at a young age. And so I try never to do anything like based on money. It's yeah. So there will always be a Johnny Ace type. There will always be somebody who's professional at kissing ass or kissing up to the boss, or just lying through their teeth. And I think that can be said for like the entertainment industry in general, right? Because the allure and the illusion of, and I hate the word, but celebrity, just, again, I mean, that accounts for half the wrestling business today. It's like people get into wrestling because they want to up their numbers, or they want to promote their OnlyFans or their Twitch and like all this other bullshit, instead of like, just, I want to be a professional wrestler because I want to create memories and affect people the way that I was affected. And I want to create memories to keep this whole thing going forward in as healthy and as positive as way as I can be. Like, I want to be one of those people they talk about, as opposed to, I could probably make a lot of money. I just need to enhance my Twitch stream. I need to like up my socials. I definitely need to promote my OF. Because I got some steamy pics coming out soon. Like, what are we gonna do theme for February? Oh, Valentine's. That could be. I just like, get out of the business. Like, we don't need more clones and just, I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. Yeah. So
How can people get in touch with you? Is there anywhere?
I don't want them to. No, I'm just kidding. I'm only on Twitter and Instagram. It's at London Fu, LONDONFU,
Are you
for
on?
Kung Fu.
I didn't know you were on
Not on
Instagram.
Facebook. I don't think I have ever checked my LinkedIn profile. But yeah, never been on Facebook. Those are all imposters. Just Twitter and Instagram. And I am also on YouTube, appearing more sporadically, but we'll get back into the regular appearances on Cafe du Rene, which has been a fun podcast as well. And then our co-host in England, James, good buddy of mine who I met during the cafe, we just launched another channel just this past Wednesday called Cinemarks, where we talk about mainly martial arts and horror movies, and we're marks for, and we go really in depth about as much as we can on those films. And hopefully we'll start getting some people on board, interviewing people from some of these different projects and stuff. But that's very much specifically a movie podcast. It's called Cinemarks. So yeah. Other than that, I don't want people getting a hold of me too much. I like to remain in the shadows. That's why I'm letting this light die out. I want it to look mysterious.
Don't let the light die out, Paul.